right, 3CT. We are, for a little behind the curtain, we're recording this WrestleMania Saturday afternoon. Fellowshipping together, Ryan, Jim, Matt, and Tim. I think intern Mark is joining us later for the big show tonight, I believe, is the plan.
Yeah, so this little thing that we're recording should go quick. Yeah.
This won't be 2 hours of Are You Serious or anything like that.
I feel like this little podcast is going to go by faster than why Mark really isn't here, which is he is chasing Hillbilly off the Hottenstein estate with a water hose. And it's just not working.
I say, do we at least have the soundboard for this?
I don't.
Are you serious?
We have to make them ourselves.
The way the current setup is, we don't have the soundboard.
I have to get on my hands and knees and just take it.
There you go. I mean,
I'm a sausage guy.
Who gives a shit?
I'll take a shot in the mouth.
Why am I coming?
I'll pop in your living room.
I'm an idiot.
But we thought we're here. If you listen, and you should be, to Tim's other projects, one of them we just put some of the audio down, and that was for the viewer's choice. So
give me my ding.
We already have the recording set up, so why not throw something down? And this.
Yeah, we don't know when we're releasing this, do we?
I have no clue. That's the best part.
You could be listening to this in July right now.
It'll be the week before SummerSlam. We're like, let's fucking take
we should probably put that audio up that we never released.
Shit, we did record something. I remember.
But
there's probably some LCW stuff recorded somewhere.
Probably.
That we never released.
I think Ryan interviewing Monty for 4 hours and 36 minutes.
God.
Oh, man.
Do you think that guy is still...
No.
I'm not going to... I don't want to finish the sentence. But I think there's also, Ryan, I think there's a watch-along that you and I recorded during the pandemic that never got released because we recorded it and then they switched to the cock. So all of our timestamps and everything on it are completely useless.
I believe
our European listeners
That's true.
could probably
That's true. We do
along.
have some European listeners, so I should probably put that out there.
They could also, if they had a VPN, they could easily just switch over and get access.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work
just to follow along.
Just to watch an episode.
I mean, how hard is it to? Was it a Superstars episode?
I think so. I could probably find it. And
I feel like you could find it on the cock,
and I could put the timestamp in the episode description.
Yeah. No one's going to care.
That's probably an old fun episode. There's some old fun episodes where intern Mark and I interviewed random people on the indie wrestling scene. I'll have to see if I can find those.
That would be fun.
Like random, like streamer guy random, or like wrestler random?
Wrestler random.
Oh, okay.
There's one episode where Mark's driving home from Hershey Park, so the window's open and you just hear the wind.
What audio is worse, that or the day he was trying to find something in his attic?
Pole in his attic,
and he's on and I think it was at WrestleMania. I think we were at your house.
I think
your old house, Matt, and we were recording.
Awful.
But this is a topic we were all together a few weeks ago, and Tim, you kind of presented this idea, and it may not even end up being totally wrestling related. We're just going to kind of see where the wind blows us today. But what's the general premise of the idea of this legacy?
Well, I guess we can count this as kind of like the pilot episode of something that at some point we'll possibly put on the patreon.com/3CountThursday. But I had this idea of, every so often, unfortunately we just lost Razor Ramon, Scott Hall not too long ago, or 6 months ago, if you're listening to whenever this
2 years ago.
Time stamping this, but every time we lose somebody or somebody retires, or the thought comes of how will they be remembered? When they're gone? What's the pillar? What's the cornerstone that they left behind? And so the thought is to do a podcast where we take a topic. It doesn't have to be wrestling. It could be anything. And when it's all said and done, this will be the ultimate thing that showcases their career. So it could be a role in a movie or a TV show. It could be a specific match or a moment. It could be an album or a song or even a performance of a specific song. But when the highlight reel plays of a person's life or a band's life or a wrestler's life, what is going to be the thing that's featured for you moving forward?
Okay.
Can you give our listeners an example? Like, I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, if Tim Taylor is being put up there, your legacy would be your love for Mandy Rose.
No, it would be
and
the
that
time...
would be like, that's what we remember. Tim was so fond of Mandy.
No,
if
I'm
wearing her shirt right now.
It was written in his will that he would like to be buried in his Mandy Rose T-shirt.
It would probably be the time I sat down in a metal folding chair in Studio L and died a death.
But you're a cat and you have 8 more to go.
You know,
not
spent enough time with Edgar Excellence. You know,
not too terribly long ago. I think maybe it was in a memory, Facebook memory that popped up, and I just the thumbnail was of the chair leg that was completely flattened. So I had to go back and watch the spot, and that poor chair.
The poor chair.
Yeah, that chair died a death.
The chair is put out the pasture.
What about me, Jim?
I mean, you're still here. That chair is not.
But the Tim that fell isn't here. This
well,
is a new
that's
Tim.
true.
These legs aren't even buckling.
I know. Handcrafted.
It's a solid cedar.
These are solid wood.
Salad.
Okay,
Salad
so I'll throw one out here because as we're recording this, we're about a week removed from the retirement of the official in-ring retirement of Triple H.
Let's keep this to wrestling then. If we're gonna do this like as an episodic thing,
it'll be anything.
Let's just keep. Or do you want this one to be a potpourri episode?
You were the one that said let's not do this.
Well, I wasn't thinking
related.
we were gonna make
you
more
were getting
episodes
all pissy
out
and bitchy about it.
You were the one, we have 5 more hours of wrestling to watch.
Dude,
later.
we're recording this right before WrestleMania Night 1.
Yeah.
Excuse me. WrestleMania Saturday.
Yeah,
it is not night 1. It is
Roman numeral I.
Because technically,
there
was WrestleMania Raw, so that's night 1. And SmackDown
I didn't
was
watch
2.
that, and I didn't watch that. You know that.
I know. Surprising.
I'm shocked. I watched the NXT show a little bit ago and didn't.
You stood and delivered, didn't you?
Barely.
But why don't we start with Triple H? What's Triple H's legacy? Whether it's a match or a moment or.
For me, it's going to be the Vegas wedding.
Oh, okay.
I think that's that kind of... Because we talked about this on the show, and again, it was 2 nights ago or 7 months and 2 nights ago, but we talked about how Triple H didn't really break out as the single star until we got to the McMahon-Helmsley era, and that was the starting off point of that whole storyline that takes us through Triple H's career as the top guy for a while, the booker then, the NXT guy. I mean, all of that started with that Vegas wedding.
I like that. I think it's easy to think Triple H DX, but I guess I would go with Evolution, like the Evolution era Triple H. Maybe the thumbs up, thumbs down sort of thing comes to mind. That if you were watching a clip, I think that would be included in that as a large moment that set him apart from and is like the leader of Evolution and really was a different trajectory in his career.
Yeah, before that it was just a mystery.
It was all just a mystery. And it was just undercard DX stuff when he was in the Attitude Era. Nobody cared about him then.
Right, yeah, no one took him seriously.
I think for me it's the the return after Royal Rumble leading into WrestleMania 18. Like the return from that MSG return.
You literally just took mine.
That MSG return is like, I mean, you had the U2, the Beautiful Day montage.
Still one of the best pieces of video.
Coming up next, you see him like hopping the shadow of Triple H hopping, and then like the pop, because when he got hurt, he was a heel, and like he came back and like that was one of the biggest pops. I mean, it's hard to combat Austin or like Rock level pops, but man, that pop at MSG was insane, and then led to him becoming the universe or undisputed champion.
Yeah, beating Jericho
at Mania in a match that many forget because they blew their wad all over the Rock and Hogan.
They sure did. I feel like that moment with Triple H, the return at MSG, it has to be paired with the Beautiful Day video montage for the recovery and the can we rebuild him, like that sort of stuff. But in the interest of not repeating oneself, I will.
Those are the rules.
You know, I will try my best to come up with something better on the fly. And I think this is probably, for me, what I'm going to choose to remember Triple H more for. I forget which one it is, but it's the takeover that started with him in the ring. It was Brooklyn.
I'll say it's the first Brooklyn.
Takeover Brooklyn, where he starts NXT. The everything is dark. Triple H is in the ring, and he's cutting the promo, and he cuts the. This is the spark that ignites, that lights the flame, that ignites the fire of NXT, and then like the actual "We Are NXT" moniker that literally drives them through until we get to 2.0. I'm always going to look fondly as it's like Triple H, the person who, for a good 6 years, tried his best to get an influx of fresh, talented wrestlers into the WWE as best as he could.
I would say tried and succeeded at that point because he had a fantastic run at that.
Right, but I mean, if you look at it now, I mean, there's fewer and fewer NXT-esque people. Well, no, there's probably about a dozen right now that are still like active and going.
I mean, we would consider Roman an NXT guy, right?
See, I don't.
You don't?
I count him more as
FCW.
Seth and Dean and Roman were more of that FCW, kind of like Big E in a way too, because that was before Triple H really got his hands on it. But you'd absolutely count the Horsewomen, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, and then look at the group that's there now: Ricochet, Damian Priest, Riddle, Rhea Ripley,
Asuka.
Yeah, Asuka was a big
one. Nikki Ash, Liv, Shayna, so the more I talk about it, there are a lot.
I mean, that was the debate in my mind was is it that MSG return or is it just Triple H head of NXT and the the developing, and he's still doing it, like even though NXT 2.0 is different than Black and Gold, he's like recruiting now.
Yeah, he's doing
like there was a recruiting event in Dallas for WrestleMania, and there's more of them coming up. Like I'm sure, like Money in the Bank weekend in Vegas or in SummerSlam's in Vegas, Money in the Bank wherever that is. Like, I'm sure they're gonna do those because like that's what they're looking for. And we were watching Stand and Deliver, is like they're transitioning from getting wrestlers into NXT to going back to, I think what they did in years ago and proved to be very successful is you take athletes and you turn them into superstars, and that's what WWE wants. And Triple H is out actively doing that now. So that was, if I didn't say the MSG, it would have been Triple H, like the talent recruiter, developer, NXT leader.
I mean, look at the three transcendent stars, or two and a third, but I mean, there's going to be one of them is a polarizing figure for us here at the podcast, but The Rock wasn't a wrestler. I mean, he had it in his blood, but failed athlete due to injury, obviously.
Sure.
But comes into WWE because it's like his last stand. What does he do? He's like the hottest thing in the world, and now what is he? He's the hottest thing in the galaxy. John Cena loved wrestling, but was a collegiate athlete. He did wrestling, but he was definitely more like a body guy, a bodybuilder. Wrestling was a thing, and was like immediately put into the system in OVW and Deep South. And
the prototype, right?
The prototype. And I mean, even then when he was working in LA, That was like a WWE adjacent. And then, the polarizing one is going to be Batista. Regardless of what you say or how you feel about Batista.
I mean, he's Ryan's favorite wrestler of all time.
Correct. But, Batista is known outside of the WWE walls. He is a recognizable face.
He's in the same tier as the other two that you mentioned outside of wrestling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is a part of one of the biggest box office movies of all time.
He's been involved in a lot of franchises too. He's in a Bond movie.
Yeah,
so,
he was actually a really good Bond villain.
He's in a Blade Runner film. So he's certainly,
wasn't he in Dune?
Yeah. So he's earning his chops. I mean, as an action star.
And so
the only difference though between the three is two of them could cut a hell of a promo.
Batista could cut a promo.
Not a hell of a promo.
Look, I have heard Ryan on occasions call "Give Me What I Want" the greatest promo in WWE history.
But
I've literally heard him say that.
I'm going to quit the fucking show.
But with all that said,
that wasn't you that said that?
Yeah. But even with all that saying, you're pulling the athletes in who have the drive and the determination to work towards being the very best.
Mm-hmm.
And for right, wrong, or indifferent, that sort of gear, that sort of mentality isn't there or is harder to get to out of an independent wrestler. Because in a certain degree, the indie wrestler is already doing what they set out to do before they got to WWE. They just wanted to be wrestlers. And now they're just doing it for WWE. As opposed to guys like The Rock, like John Cena, like Batista, who they want to be the biggest star. They want to ascend and be bigger than the WWE logo.
And to Triple H's benefit with recruiting, he already has someone that he can point to as the next stepping stone for that in Sasha Banks, as saying, this person is also taking that leap. Do you want to take this leap? Give me your career, and I will guide you along with this.
Right, and then you look at what Triple H is doing now. He's got Gable Steveson. He's got, who's the other one that I have? Or no, literally we just watched him. Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a wrestler, but collegiate athlete. He played, I think he was 4 years. I'm trying to remember what school he went to, but I believe he was a fullback.
I mean, he was indie wrestling, though, for a bit.
From Notre Dame, too, that he signed.
Oh, Parker Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
that's a great one, yeah.
So he's collecting that roster at this point.
And it's guys who have the drive to be the best. And what Triple H mentioned in that Stephen A. Smith interview was not that we don't want wrestlers who look like the guy who lives next door. And not to point fingers or say who's who, but if you look at a lot of the independent wrestlers, even if we look at what NXT has right now, Cameron Grimes looks like somebody who could live next door to me. Mm-hmm. Carmelo Hayes looks like a guy who's shopping for groceries with me. But
Kennesaw State.
I'm not seeing
where Braun Breaker went.
I'm typically not seeing a Braun Breaker next door. I'm not seeing a Gable Steveson next door. They are larger than life personalities that they can cater, and not to say anyone can be a wrestler, but few can be mainstay WWE superstar and live up to the full depth and breadth of what that's called. And Triple H has been spearheading that. I mean, he's obviously shifting his gears back. Originally, he was a part of the era that was looking at those stars, and then as he gets into his role, he then creates the Super Indie NXT, and now we're running back the hands of time, and we're going back to what is old is new again, and we're going back to that.
I think you made a really good point about this crop of NXT stars, because I don't see a ton of body guys in NXT 2.0. But when you said they don't live next door, somebody like a a Tony Meatball lives next door.
Right.
I think somebody
owns
that
the
looks.
deli.
Somebody
We
that
went to
looks like
college with him.
somebody. Yes, yes. That's a gabagool. I think somebody that looks like Braun Breaker could live next door. Body wise, he looks like everybody's neighbor. Personality wise, off the charts. So you're absolutely right that these guys have over the top personalities, and they're shifting away from these over the top muscle bodybuilder types.
I think that's
right
more
now.
what it is. Like if you're looking at current athletes that you can take to the next level, it has to be guys that you feel can do something on the mic, right? And so that's what it's. I feel like he has to look more into it. It's not just do you have the look, are you the athlete, but can you hold your weight on a microphone? Because we've seen the former athletes come in and not be able to do it, and they need a mouthpiece. How many mouthpieces are we going to have moving forward at this point? Like, can we continue to rely on Paul Heyman moving forward? Probably not for much longer.
Even though Paul Heyman did just recently say that he has signed a long-term extension with WWE.
Paul Heyman's no fool.
And Paul
Right.
Heyman's not going
He's no dummy.
And Paul Heyman, right, wrong, or indifferent, Paul Heyman is still relatively young. I think he's roughly the same age as Bruce Pritchard. And I don't think Bruce is barely 60.
Okay, well,
How
I
old's
underestimated Paul Heyman's age.
Give
there.
your guess, Matt.
I was thinking like 64, 65.
You're over.
I would say
I'm say 58.
I was also saying 58.
You're
That was
over.
my
He's
gut.
56.
Paul
Okay.
Heyman is 56.
Paul Heyman is 56. He'll be 57 in September.
And he's been in wrestling since the mid 80s.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like Michael P.S. Hayes. I was listening to something when Michael Hayes was managing the Hardy Boys. He was 36 years old.
Holy shit.
He was 36.
So Michael Hayes, when I'm playing WrestleMania 2000, when he's running down the ring and I'm saying, "Get old man Hayes out of here," he's younger than I
he's
am
already
right now.
Younger than we are
He's
now.
younger.
Wow.
He's younger than AJ Styles when he debuted in the WWE.
Insane.
But it's the perspective of how long they've been
Let's
doing
play
it.
AJ Styles
let's-
didn't. He also wasn't settled with Doc Hendricks. So
Well, that's true.
That's
Let's
okay.
play the Bruce Pritchard game. Ryan, how old do you think Bruce Pritchard is?
Pritchard is 55.
You are under.
I'm gonna say 58 again.
Under.
I'll say 62.
You're a little over. 59. He just turned 59 in the beginning
And
of March.
that's crazy too, because Brucey's got at least another 10 years, and Paul's got at least another 10 years.
Yeah.
Like,
So he was like mid-20s when he was playing Brother Love.
yes.
Like
Real.
when you look at Brother
as-
Love,
as-
you think
And
this
how
guy's
did we miss? How did we miss that opportunity?
right.
Well.
Oh, there's that word again.
That's right.
But yeah, that's wild, man. But yeah, it's there's a definite change, but I think for the WWE and what they're doing, I think long term can be successful with and what to go back to the original that I brought up with what Triple H and company have been turning there with the Performance Center and with NXT.
I like this topic. This is a good. How long have we went for just on one?
It's
topic?
23
Hell, that's
minutes.
a podcast in and of itself, right there.
Yeah.
That's a quick
It's a
drop.
nice quick hitter.
I'm gonna go one more. Just
you want to do another episode? We're gonna do it on this one.
on this one. Let's
We're
just-
giving too much. We're giving too much out for free. Okay.
so yeah, we'll keep this
Okay.
episode
All right,
going.
that's fine. I
How
just
did you
didn't-
offend Matt?
I
Like
didn't
Matt
offend him.
was here. Like he's gone now.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. They always come back. It's just 3
He'll
count
be
Thursday.
back.
I always come back from my coochie in the dark.
But
This topic, I mean, you can touch anything, and just
Yeah.
the way we end up going. I mean, wow.
I mean, like we're coming off the Hall of Fame last night, and we saw Father Mark give his 45-minute testimony.
Amen.
In
Amen.
the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022, the Undertaker in what I tweeted it last night, and I'll say it again here. That Hall of Fame speech is not going to be topped. A, time wise, but B, just the legend of it. When they announced the Undertaker, I still wish he would have been a one-man class. I get that he probably didn't want it, but very easily could have. But let's do this game with the Undertaker. Like, and it's a complicated legacy. I think it's or a hard thing to pin to just one.
That is tough. The legacy moment
Yeah, moment,
of
match,
the Undertaker.
like, I mean, anything. But
I think if I have a friend that is not a professional wrestling fan, and I say the WWE had this wrestler, his name was the Undertaker. He was some sort of mortician sort of gimmick. The match that I would have to show them came so late in his career, it probably doesn't do the. I'd show him the Boneyard match.
wow. So the last, as
The
we know it,
absolute
at
last match today, as we sit here, as we know it.
5:06 p.m. on April the 2nd. Let's
I
put that
really,
out there
change.
as timestamp, but that may
Yes.
change. But his last match,
I really do. I feel like that had so many like tips of the hat to earlier parts in his career. It touched on the brawling that the Undertaker can do. It touched on the biker gimmick with the motorcycle and everything. It had pyro. It had the laser lights. As we sit here
it had
today,
a hearse, it had a casket.
it was the perfect way to send off the Undertaker. And I hope sitting here today that we don't get to see another Undertaker match, because I feel like it will not do what that match did justice. But I feel if I have to show a non-wrestling fan something and try to pull them in and be like, I want to see more of the Undertaker based off of this, I show him the Boneyard
I mean,
match.
let's be honest. And Tim, you'll obviously get to yours. We'll get to mine. Matt, if he ever comes back,
You
Ryan.
need to apologize.
He'll be back.
You
He'll be
speak
back.
it out into the ether.
Matt, I'm sorry. All right?
But like, I feel like in 2022,
The steak wasn't overcooked the way I said it was. I'm sorry.
in 2022, if you show 1991 Undertaker to people to try and get them, if they're not a wrestling fan, to get, I don't know if it works. Like, I don't know if the original Undertaker works in 2022. If you really think about it, I don't think the Purple Glove Undertaker works in 2022.
Yeah.
I think maybe like when you start getting into like Attitude Era Undertaker, like the cult kind of like cult demon devil stuff, that may be the first version of the Undertaker that would actually kind of work in 2022. But okay, so Ryan, your Boneyard match, okay. Matt, are you okay? I know Ryan basically spit in your face in your own house.
He did, yeah,
didn't-
but
I
that,
didn't
I'm
even
all right.
spit.
Just need to take a walk. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Well, we're glad to have you back. We are talking about the legacy of the Undertaker, coming off the heels of the Hall of Fame ceremony.
So-
Tim, since
Just to reference, Brian used the Boneyard match, so that's off the board.
These are the rules.
them's the rules.
Okay.
I didn't make them. I just have to follow them.
That's true. Tim, since you were here, Matt getting to collect his thoughts a little bit. Is there something?
He should have had plenty of time while collecting his thoughts to come up with something to say. But yeah, go to
That-
You
Tim
know,
first.
do you really want him to take another walk? Like, you're really going to just pick his...
No, I'm trying to get Jim to walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm the host here. That's not going to
That's
happen.
all I know.
As much as we try to usurp 3 Count Thursday...
Look, a
from him.
couple days ago, again, as we record this, my power went out. You guys had your moment, and I came back and you made it about 3
Well, if
minutes.
somebody would share the show notes with everybody...
Thank you.
My God.
Now, why would I do that?
Jeez.
We still, like, Ryan had to sing On This Day. It was a
We
moment.
didn't even have a soundboard.
I know.
I should probably share that link to the producer
Nah,
as well.
yeah, it's
I mean,
whatever.
just in case.
No, I don't need it. I'm going to go a little bit earlier than the Boneyard match. I'm probably going to take something that's off the board for you two. But there is a string of 4 WrestleManias that culminates with WrestleMania 28 and the end of an era. And watching the Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker and Triple H, with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee, and just the moment of the 3 of them on the top, out on the staging, looking out one last time as a unit. Obviously, it wasn't Triple H's last match. It wasn't the Undertaker's last match. And sadly, it wasn't even Shawn Michaels' last match.
Little did we know.
Little did we know that.
Unfortunately.
What was that thing you said in the car? The Saudi bag is.
That Saudi bag is hard to pass
The
up.
Saudi bag is heavy. I'm going with end of an era for The Undertaker.
Yeah, those series of matches, and I mean, he touched on it on his speech. Like that moment of Triple H, The Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels standing at the top of the ramp at 28, which that was Miami, if memory serves.
28 was... Ooh.
That was a year before
27 was Georgia, 28 was Miami.
Yeah, so those three guys standing on that stage, I mean, that's... That, you know, when you talk about WrestleMania moments, I mean, that's right up there.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have one?
I'm going to stick with the theme from the last one we talked about with Triple H, and it involves Stephanie McMahon. And I'm going to talk about the wedding between Undertaker and Stephanie, which was kind of the jumping off point of the corporate ministry and the whole Vince. I mean, Vince was the heel still at that point, but he was kind of teetering at that point as facing heel. And I think that's when Vince kind of catapulted into just full heel Vince McMahon moving forward. Not that like we're talking about Vince, but Undertaker I think was pivotal in Vince's career as the heel, and I think that moment specifically always stands out to me as the one where the Undertaker too was like the ultimate heel wrestler, because obviously as a dead man you're not going to be a face, but at that point I think everyone just hated the Undertaker, and they got that feel for him, and moving down the line then when he came back and was the biker. Like, I don't acknowledge Kid Rock Undertaker at all, but
I just don't acknowledge Kid Rock.
Right, but I think
acknowledge Limp Bizkit Undertaker.
Right,
sure,
roll
yeah,
on.
well, that one's fine. But I think that Undertaker for me was always my favorite, just because he got under the skin of everyone, and it was just a fantastic character at that point. He wasn't just a dead man, but he was taking it beyond that, and like an evil dead man too.
Yep.
So that was April of '99. So at that point, I'm 14 years old. Like, I remember that period of the Undertaker. There was points where like it was freaky for me to watch the stuff that he was doing.
I mean, if you look at the cast of the people that were in the ministry with him at that point, like the acolytes were great, but like then you have Big Vis, you have Midian, kind of the Brood, but not really at that point. So like he had some great people too that he was working with.
I remember when he like carved the Undertaker symbol into Midian's chest. Like, that was horrifying.
14-year-old
to
Jim
watch.
slowly brushing his teeth so we don't have to go to bed so quick.
Right, like, my God, like it was scary stuff, and like, you know, you're crucifying Stephanie McMahon practically.
And that storyline kind of got us a lot of other fun storylines. Like, we got the Union out of that. We got like Stone Cold was the badass, but still like Stone Cold is being on the side of Vince McMahon. You didn't think you would see that, and you did. It was just a fun time in wrestling too.
I think for me, I mean, the Boneyard match, fantastic answer. You know, but following the rules and standards that we have set forth here, I'm going to go to WrestleMania 20 and the return of the Dead Man character. You know, we had those years of the American Badass and Biker Taker, and I guess it had its place and role at the time, but for me, like, that was never the Undertaker. Like, it really wasn't. Like, it never ever totally did it for me. And when you started getting these promos and stuff, and he's messing with Kane. Which, first off, too, like, the fact that it was against Kane, like, I think that rivalry kind of goes hand in hand with this. But Paul Bear comes back, and the Druids are back, and the purple lights, and the funeral music, and it just, like, that. I wasn't even huge into wrestling at that point. Like, we got that pay-per-view at college, Ryan. Like, I think because of the Undertaker
a big
coming back.
reason,
Like that
yeah.
was like the big catalyst for why we purchased that pay-per-view. So, yeah, I mean, and then it turned into another 15 years of the Undertaker. So, just easily for me is the WrestleMania 20 return.
Nice.
Wild when you think about how much time has passed since that moment.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's really only one other match that none of us said that pops in my head that is a critical moment.
Yep, I know exactly where you're going with this.
It takes place in Pittsburgh. It's a Hell in a Cell match with Mick Foley.
Yep.
I thought you were talking about WrestleMania 7 versus Jimmy Snuka. But
That's up there. That's
Yo,
a
that
tough
tombstone though,
well, yeah, that was
like
murder.
Jimmy Snuka should have died then, not.
years
But
later.
for me, that match, the Hell in the Cell, is always more of a mankind moment than an Undertaker moment.
That's fair. You're absolutely
Right, because
right.
Undertaker just tried to kill a guy in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Right.
You know,
The dead guy that got off the gurney and came back into
Right,
the ring
that's
is
more of a
what you
Mick Foley
remember.
moment. Yeah, that's fair.
But
yeah.
it
I mean, if this conversation was Mick Foley, it would be that match
100%,
without question. So
Yeah.
that's fair. That's a really good point.
the other debate to me was the end of the streak, but then is that about Lesnar or is that about the Undertaker?
I think that's more about Taker than it is about Lesnar.
you know what I mean. Like, and because
more so because that's who he chose. Like, that's who he wanted to break the streak.
yeah, so like that. At least there. I think there may be debate about that, but like to me, I'm like I to this day, and I saw people even tweeting it, you know, while the Hall of Fame ceremony was going on, that the streak should have never been broken. And I'm like, look, you can argue who should have broken the streak, but to me, the streak should have been broken.
But that's why I don't get why there would be debate on that, because like we know how Vince feels about the Undertaker. I don't think there's any time where Vince could go to the Undertaker and say, "Hey, this is what I want you to do." And if Undertaker says no, I don't think Vince pushes back on that at all. Like,
Or if he does, I mean, I think if Vince has a reason why now's the time, you know, Lesnar's the guy, like the understanding and the love between the two of them, and it was evident in the Last Ride documentary. Mm-hmm. It was evident at the Hall of Fame this year. Like there's an understanding between those two that if Lesnar wasn't the right guy, neither of them would have been comfortable with it.
right.
Like, so whether or not it was Vince's call, because that's the debate. Everybody says, well, it was Vince's decision. Well, ultimately, everything's Vince's decision.
Sure.
Even
Yeah.
if Undertaker goes, hey, Brock's going to break my streak this year. Vince doesn't think so. Vince says no. And, you know, eventually you're going to lose that battle.
Right.
So, but because of the relationship between the two of them. And, yeah, like, I mean, watching WrestleMania 30 when it happened, like, I remember when the referee hit 3, it was like, wait, what?
I mean, the storyline is that there were like 5 people that knew what the finish was. Who are those 5 people? Because apparently Heyman wasn't one.
Yeah,
right?
Heyman wasn't one. So apparently, I mean,
Like
my
Vince,
guess would be
Vince and Taker are 1 and 2,
Vince,
obviously.
Taker, Brock.
And Brock,
The
yeah.
ref.
The ref would probably
you
have
know,
to
so that's
know.
4, and maybe
The guy with the queuing up the music.
maybe
Or
no, the music didn't start right away.
or
Somebody had to make a graphic.
Michael Cole.
But the call
See, I
on that
don't
was
know.
like shocked.
Yeah, I don't know
Michael
though
Cole.
because I
And,
don't.
like,
I don't.
he's great, but I don't know that Michael Cole is that great that he sells it that well.
What I'm saying is Michael Cole is scripted.
Okay.
For the love of mankind, literally when Shane McMahon, had the soundboard so I can say his name as much as I want.
Shane McMahon.
When Shane McMahon jumps off the Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania and misses Undertaker on the table, remember, Michael Cole is looking at an iPad, reading off the lines, "For the love of mankind, he is broken in half."
Oh, that's a good point.
Michael Cole will probably had exactly what Vince wanted to happen written down to tell the story of what's to happen.
That's a good point.
I mean, Michael Cole is a war correspondent. I don't think he really gives a shit that The Undertaker lost at WrestleMania.
that's true. Because like Jim Ross always.
Are
famous.
you here saying you don't think Michael Cole's a wrestling fan? Is that kind of how Michael Cole's doing a job?
I think Michael Cole is a wrestling fan, but I think Michael Cole
Michael Cole, the commentator,
is not an
a worker.
organic commentator.
Okay.
Michael Cole is a trained conductor. If you're going to compare it to, we're all sports fans. We all understand football to a certain degree. Comparing him to other great play-by-play guys, Jim Ross is a quarterback who can physically lead your team to victory. He's a Brett Favre. He's a quarterback that can put a team on the back and go. Michael Cole is a clock manager. He's a team manager. He's your Alex Smith. He's your Troy Aikman to a certain degree.
He's your Dak Prescott. Got it.
He's Dak, where he's not gonna lead them, but as long as
he's better than a Jalen Hurts, is what you're telling me.
100% better than
Yeah,
Jalen.
100%. No 100%.
Right, he's serviceable.
Right.
He can throw.
Better,
I get it.
better
I
than
get
Carson Wentz too.
I think Jim. I think that has a lot to do with Taker. It really does. I mean, there's two people that have beaten the Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And those two guys face off again. Timestamping ourselves tonight in the biggest match tomorrow night.
Yeah.
In the biggest match of WrestleMania history, in the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time.
Most stupendous two-night WrestleMania of all time.
Just,
Absolutely. That's a great point.
There's two guys who have ever done it, and they're telling us this is now the biggest match ever.
And that's
and it's the
that
year
adds to it for
it's
sure.
the year Undertaker, and it's not being talked about because in the grand scheme of Roman versus Brock this year, it doesn't really matter. But it's the year that the Undertaker goes into the Hall of Fame,
and that should have been a talking point. Now that you're saying
easily,
that,
could have been.
easily.
I don't know how you missed that, but
But also too,
in the year of the Taker, you have to talk
the
about
two guys
Yeah.
that beat him are
guys.
main eventing the biggest show in the biggest match ever.
That's a missed opportunity.
But
for
also
sure.
you have to think too. The Brock Lesnar that beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 is not the same Brock Lesnar we have right now.
No, this one
Dude,
wears a cowboy.
I mean,
hat.
I've been watching
the
back.
Roman Reigns that beat.
And that's the exact
Yeah,
point.
I mean,
the Roman Reigns at 33,
his nipples were covered.
Yeah,
not even the same guy. He had different chompers.
He had different chompers.
Now he's Mr. Ed.
he was
nipples
not at
were
the head
covered.
of the
His chompers
table at
were
that
in every
point.
direction.
He wasn't-
his hair was
he didn't
all
have a seat at the table.
Yeah, he was like 4
His
seats
hair,
down.
he didn't have the ponytail.
He was putting the IKEA table together at WrestleMania 33.
That was
And
his
now-
first really flirting though with heel, like a heel promo. This is my yard now. Like that
Oh
was
yeah.
Yeah.
Roman's real
That's where we
first like
finally
dipping the
started to
toe
see
in.
that.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Dude, it's wild. Like I've every year around the Big Four pay-per-views, I always go back and watch some of the old ones. And watching because we were I can't remember if it was us or when I was on with the Take 3 guys, but we were talking about the WrestleMania 36 and how the matches themselves hold up. Like the event's weird. It's weird to watch, Rhea and Charlotte grunting in the middle of an empty warehouse, but the matches hold up. But seeing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 36 to what Brock Lesnar is today is such a mind fuck because it's 2 years ago. It wasn't even that long ago, and it is completely. I mean, the only thing the same is the gear, really. He's unrecognizable. The character is unrecognizable to what we have now. But yeah, I think the streak was the other thing that I was.
Yeah, that's a very good.
The
call.
streak ending because. I think for years we thought it's never going to end. He's just going to retire.
And again, and I don't think anyone would have been surprised if he just went,
right, and then
25-0 and said, "Fuck it, I'm done."
I mean, he's lost twice at WrestleMania, and I'm still surprised he's lost at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I mean, today.
Yeah, and I mean, sitting there watching him lay, I can still see the image, like him laying in the ring in New Orleans. You see 21-1 on the screen, and he finally gets himself up because. Dude got his brain scrambled in that match. But, watching The Undertaker, limp his old ass up that long ramp.
The uncomfortable applause the whole time, too.
That took 22 minutes.
I think that one actually did take 22 minutes.
And then,
you didn't know. Is that the end? Is this just how it, is this just it?
especially when you also get the accounts that they told in the last ride. Mm-hmm. And you get the accounts that have been told by Paul Heyman afterwards. As soon as the Undertaker walks through that curtain, he collapses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, he was walking the thin blue line.
He was. He sure was. But he collapses. Vince McMahon leaves WrestleMania. Leaves WrestleMania 30
Right.
to go be with The Undertaker. Meanwhile,
You know,
that is the
if
crowning
Shane
achievement.
leaves in an ambulance, Vince is like,
Absolutely.
call me when he's ready.
Right.
Owen Hart died in the ring, and Vince was like, y'all are wrestling in here.
Yeah, he's like, you're wrestling. The show goes on. Taker collapses at WrestleMania 30. He's like, I am out. See ya. Finish the show. Turn the lights off when you leave.
He's sitting there, and he's like, hey, here's my headset. Who needs my headset? Somebody
Yeah,
take
like
my
he's
headset,
just gone. He's gone. Like,
My boy.
could you imagine? Like, I can only. Like, and there's pros back there. I mean, everybody back there is a pro. But imagine
sure.
being backstage at WrestleMania, a gorilla position, and all of a sudden Vince McMahon is just gone.
Jim, we are at Matt's house to watch WrestleMania. If you collapsed and got taken out in an ambulance, I'm watching WrestleMania tonight.
And I fully
and I'll
expect
check on
to.
you tomorrow.
I fully expect you
Okay.
to. That's fine.
That's
I
wild.
would just expect
But
somebody
then,
would
like-
text my wife and tell me what hospital I'm going to.
But the equation of that would be
She saw Gunther today. She's
You-
fine. Don't worry about it.
you pass out, but then Matt takes you. WrestleMania is
I
Vince's
leave
house.
my own house.
Yeah,
He
Good.
leaves his
Yeah.
own
Leaves his own
house
house.
to
Yep.
take.
And Tim and Brian are like, all right, we'll lock the door when we leave.
I'll feed the
yeah,
dogs.
Flip the
It's
light
like-
off.
It's like, Lauren knows what to do, right? Like she knows how to. She knows how
Yeah,
this
one
house
of us will
works.
figure this out. We've all lived in
We're just
houses
gonna go out
before.
We're just gonna
We're
go
just
out the
going to go out the
garage.
side.
Leave the garage open. Yeah, got it.
Perfect. Like any other thoughts to the legacy of Taker? I mean, it's kind of fresh in our mind.
What a legacy.
Coming
I mean,
off
it really is. It's hard to pick one.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is, and like I said, that Hall of Fame speech, like if no matter when you're listening to this or whenever this gets released, if you haven't watched that induction, watch that induction. And watch
The
the
Mr. T one, right? Mr.
correct.
T's.
It's still going
I
on.
love
Actually,
my mother on Mother's Day.
I think that one's actually
And
still
on
going. They
Father's
just,
Day.
You definitely want to watch the Steiner Bros speech as
and
well.
on the first day of Rosh Hashanah.
But like, even Vince's like speech beforehand, like it's wild. And somebody tweeted it, like when Vince is coming out to the stage. Usually, Hall of Fame is a night where Vince gets pissed if anybody mentions him, and he's literally doing the induction speech. Like
The only other people I think he's ever inducted, he inducted Stone Cold.
And he did two, I think, beyond that.
Andre,
but like
right?
I
long
think
before.
he did Andre, and he probably did his dad.
He did not, I don't think. He did like a lifelong employee.
But when we were going
Like a
back,
backstage
like,
employee.
and if you're the guy that has been listening to our episodes in order, you probably know the episode where we talked about who inducts Taker into the Hall of Fame. Like, how many of us said Vince? I know I said Kane.
I think I said Vince. Because we were talking about it.
Like, who could it possibly be?
Right,
And
and,
I
there,
think-
there were like three
I probably said
that
something stupid like hologram.
Hologram Paul Bear.
Hologram
Bear.
Paul Bear or something.
Like Paul Bear's kids like dressed up as Paul Bear. But I think I said Vince because we had already when we started talking about we had seen the Last Ride documentary, and I'm like, after watching like Vince crying on camera was like
multiple times.
multiple
too, yeah.
like you never saw that guy cry again. Like,
Never.
It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable to watch.
It's like seeing you like it's in a way it's kind of like seeing your dad cry for the
Yeah.
first time, and it's like.
And you know
Wait,
that love
what?
goes both ways too, because I mean we've all watched the A&E show where they looked for memorabilia and they found all this stuff from Undertaker, and he was like, "This is for Vince. You could just have it."
Yeah,
They're
literally.
like, "What do you want for this? Give me a price."
He's
And
like,
he
if
was
Vince wants it,
free.
take it. Yeah.
If Vince McMahon wants my gloves, if Vince McMahon wants anything
Well,
in
they
my
found
house,
the Phantom of the
Like,
Opera
the
mask.
Here's
Like-
Michelle McCool.
yeah,
Take whatever
Michelle,
you want. Right?
Michelle, you're getting the
Just
car.
go.
You're gone.
Yeah, sorry, Vince needs you. Like I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, that's a great point. Like the love. And I mean, at the Hall of Fame, like Vince, they hugged each other, and Taker's mic was live. His preacher mic was live, and you heard him say, "I love you." I don't know if the mic was meant to be live at that point, but like. I thought it was a cool moment. I'm sure Vince probably fired somebody because the mic was alive at that point. But it was very cool.
And that reminds me of because I was listening to, we were watching it together, and the first thing you ever hear the Undertaker say during his Hall of Fame speech is, "I love you," and the last thing he says was, "Fuck, I'm sweaty." He's at the top of the ramp, and he's got the he's got the leather duster on and the hat, and he does the
over
fist
his
thing.
tuxedo.
Over his
Yeah.
tuxedo, and he's
Poor
like
wardrobe
he's
choices.
dapping up people, and he just turns to his left and he goes, "Fuck, I'm sweaty," and but his mic was
Like that's you know what? That's actually his legacy.
That's it.
Fuck,
Fuck,
I'm
fuck,
sweaty.
I'm sweaty.
That's going to be on his
That's also
tombstone.
Shane McMahon's. That's also
100%.
Brock Lesnar.
That's
Right.
honestly, that's the four of us sitting at this table.
Yeah, no
honestly.
kidding.
I know, and I haven't even gotten the meat sweats yet. We haven't
Right.
even ordered
We
pizza.
got pizza to go.
I need to know where I'm Venmoing this money.
Fuck, I'm sweaty.
But yeah, I think that this was fun. I think we're going to do more of these in the future.
yeah, I
for
like
sure.
these. That's a great idea, too.
Let us know if you actually dig this. Like, this will obviously go out to the general public, but if you want more of this, let us know. It'll be on the Patreon, and $2 a month.
$2 a month.
Yeah, this one will go into the
This is
regular
going to be
podcast
easy to do.
feed.
Yeah,
Just
these are easy for
people
us to
give
do.
a
This is
taste
good.
for it. But yeah, make sure just 3countthursday.com, always the place to follow us. Make sure you follow us on social media at 3Count Thursday. Subscribe to the podcast and our YouTube as well. But gentlemen, I hope we enjoy WrestleMania tonight. For the people listening, I hope you enjoy whatever day you are listening to this.
Happy Boxing Day, everyone.
Happy Arbor Day. Tim, give them a holiday to enjoy while they listen to this.
Happy Columbus Day.
Perfect. Ryan.
Columbus Day of
Yep.
all the days. You know what? I don't know.
Happy birthday.
Flag Day.
Happy birthday works. We'll say happy birthday.
There we go. Enjoy.